At first glance, peace might seem like the ultimate goal for individuals and societies alike. After all, peace promises stability, safety, and harmony. Yet, paradoxically, many people experience an inexplicable fear of peace. This fear stems from the unpredictability of peace itself. It challenges deeply ingrained beliefs and habitual patterns. Chaos, although painful and disruptive, is familiar. It triggers fight or flight instincts that feel activating and even energizing, while peace demands introspection and change, which can be unsettling. Peace, unlike chaos, strips away distractions. In chaotic times, people can blame external forces for their suffering and feel justified in their struggles. When peace arrives, these external enemies disappear, and individuals are forced to confront internal conflicts and unresolved emotions. This confrontation with the self can be far more frightening than external turmoil. The absence of conflict does not guarantee comfort. Instead, it exposes raw vulnerabilities and hidden fears that many would rather avoid.
Moreover, peace disrupts the dynamics of power and control that chaos often reinforces. In turbulent environments, people may cling to familiar roles and identities, victim, warrior, or rebel, which give them a sense of purpose. Peace dissolves these roles, leaving individuals uncertain about their place in the world. This loss of identity can provoke anxiety and resistance as people grapple with redefining themselves in a calmer, more stable context where old certainties no longer apply. Lastly, societal structures and cultural narratives often valorize struggle, conflict, and resistance, framing them as necessary for growth and progress. Peace, by contrast, is sometimes seen as stagnation or complacency. This cultural bias can make peace seem unnatural or even suspicious. The fear of peace, therefore, is intertwined with the fear of losing meaning and momentum in life. The challenge lies in learning to embrace peace not as an end to growth, but as fertile ground for new kinds of transformation and fulfillment.
Chaos, despite its dangers and disruptions, can paradoxically become a source of comfort for many. This happens because chaos activates our survival instincts and keeps us in a heightened state of alertness. For some, this constant tension creates a sense of purpose and meaning, even if it's stressful. Over time, living with chaos can condition the brain to expect turmoil, making it feel normal. When the environment shifts toward peace and calm, it can feel disorienting and unfamiliar, causing anxiety rather than relief. Familiarity plays a crucial role in why chaos can seem less intimidating than peace. Humans are wired to rely on patterns to feel safe, and chaos, though erratic, is a pattern in itself for those accustomed to it. The unpredictability of peace breaks this pattern. Without constant external threats or crises, individuals may feel lost or unmoored as their brains scramble to find the familiar rhythms of stress and conflict. This neurological response contributes to a preference for chaos over peaceful calm. Additionally, chaos often provides clear targets for blame and action. When life is turbulent, it's easier to identify what or who is causing the problem, whether it's a person, system, or event. This clarity, even if negative, offers a way to channel emotions and energy. Peace removes these obvious adversaries, forcing people to face more abstract or internal challenges like boredom, uncertainty about purpose, or existential questions. This internal focus can be unsettling, making peace feel less safe than the external chaos. The comfort found in chaos also connects to a deeper psychological need for control. In chaotic situations, people may feel they can influence outcomes by reacting quickly, taking sides, or fighting for survival. Peace, however, often requires patience, acceptance, and letting go of control, skills that can be difficult to develop. This shift from active struggle to passive endurance can feel like vulnerability, intensifying the fear of peace and the pull toward familiar chaos. For many people, identity is closely tied to conflict and struggle. When living through chaotic situations, whether personal or societal,
individuals often find purpose and meaning in their roles as fighters, survivors, or reformers. These roles become core to their sense of self. Chaos provides a backdrop that validates their actions and feelings, reinforcing their identity. Peace threatens this identity by removing the conflict that defines them, leading to an existential crisis where people must question who they are without the chaos. Conflict-driven identities often come with community and belonging. People unite in opposition to a common threat, which fosters social cohesion. This group dynamic can be deeply fulfilling and emotionally powerful. When peace arrives, these unifying threats disappear, and social bonds can weaken. Without the shared adversary, communities may fracture or struggle to find new ways to connect, leaving individuals isolated. This loss of connection makes peace feel lonely and unsafe, despite its surface calm. The transition from conflict to peace demands a redefinition of purpose. In chaos, the goals are often clear: survive, resist, or fight injustice. Peace requires a shift toward rebuilding, healing, and sometimes forgiveness, which are less tangible and immediate. This uncertainty about what to do next can cause discomfort and fear. People may resist peace because it forces them to develop new skills and perspectives, which challenges long-held beliefs and habits linked to their identity. Moreover, living through chaos often builds resilience and strength, which people take pride in. Peace, by contrast, can be mistaken for weakness or complacency. This misconception leads to a devaluation of peace and a preference for struggle, as individuals equate conflict with vitality and relevance. Overcoming this bias is essential for embracing peace fully, as it requires recognizing that growth and strength can also emerge from calmness and stability, not only from hardship. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions influencing human behavior, especially when it comes to embracing peace. The uncertainty that peace brings can trigger anxiety because it challenges our sense of predictability and control. When chaos reigns, fear is focused outward, on threats, dangers, or enemies, which feels more tangible and manageable. In contrast, peace shifts the focus inward, forcing individuals to face fears related to vulnerability, loneliness, or existential doubts. This internal fear can be more difficult to confront and less easy to escape. Anxiety related to peace often stems from the unknown future. In chaotic times, people feel they have a roadmap, even if it's filled with obstacles. They understand what to expect: crises, conflicts, battles. Peace, however, is unpredictable in its own way. It requires adaptability, openness, and trust in gradual change, which can be uncomfortable. The human brain is wired to prefer certainty and clear risks, so the ambiguity of peace provokes discomfort and a subconscious rejection. Fear of peace can also arise from social conditioning and cultural narratives that associate strength with struggle. Many societies glorify conflict, valorize heroes who fight battles, and portray peace as passive or weak. This creates a collective anxiety about what happens when the enemy disappears. People worry that without a visible struggle, their purpose or relevance will vanish. This fear is deeply ingrained and can make peace feel like a threat to identity and societal values. Finally, the fear of peace is linked to the fear of change itself. Peace demands transformation, not just in external circumstances, but within ourselves. It requires releasing old habits, beliefs, and emotional defenses built during times of chaos. Change is inherently risky and uncertain, which feeds anxiety. Overcoming this fear means developing emotional resilience and learning to embrace peace as a dynamic, evolving state rather than a static endpoint. Humans are creatures of habit, and our comfort zones provide a sense of security, even if the environment within them is stressful or chaotic. The known patterns of chaos become predictable in their unpredictability. Peace, by contrast, introduces unfamiliar territory, shaking the foundations of what feels safe. This unfamiliarity can trigger resistance because the brain associates novelty with potential threats. In this way, peace, despite its benefits, can feel more threatening simply because it's unknown.
The comfort zone trap also highlights how deeply ingrained routines and mindsets influence our ability to accept peace. People develop coping mechanisms during chaotic times, ways of thinking, reacting, and relating that help them survive. When peace arrives, these mechanisms can become maladaptive or irrelevant, leading to confusion and discomfort. Letting go of these old ways requires conscious effort and emotional work, which many avoid by clinging to the familiar chaos. Moreover, peace requires a different kind of engagement, a more active form of inner work like reflection, forgiveness, and patience. This internal engagement demands vulnerability and openness, which can feel risky compared to the more reactive and externally focused responses to chaos. The unfamiliar demands of peace challenge the automatic survival responses that have been honed in turbulent conditions, causing people to resist this new state. Finally, the comfort zone trap is reinforced by social and environmental factors. Communities and cultures accustomed to conflict may lack the resources or frameworks to support peaceful transitions. Without role models or examples of peaceful living, individuals struggle to envision what peace looks like in practice. This lack of models makes peace seem abstract or idealistic rather than attainable, reinforcing the preference for the familiar chaos. Trauma plays a significant role in shaping our emotional responses, including how we perceive peace. For individuals who have experienced intense or prolonged trauma, chaos may feel like a default state, something they know and can predict. Peace, on the other hand, can evoke fear because it forces a confrontation with unresolved pain and vulnerability. The silence and stillness of peace can amplify traumatic memories and emotions, making it feel unsafe even when external conditions are calm. Many trauma survivors develop hypervigilance, an exaggerated state of alertness that is adaptive during times of danger, but maladaptive in peaceful settings. This heightened sensitivity to threats makes peace feel disorienting and potentially dangerous, as the brain remains on edge for conflict that is no longer present. As a result, these individuals may unconsciously sabotage peaceful situations, preferring the familiar chaos to the unsettling quiet of healing. Additionally, trauma can disrupt trust in oneself, in others, and in the world. Peace requires a certain degree of trust to be sustainable, yet trauma often leaves people feeling unsafe and uncertain. The lack of trust makes it difficult to embrace peace fully because it feels fragile and temporary. This fear of losing control can cause resistance to peace, as chaos provides a sense of active engagement in control, however tenuous. Healing from trauma is essential to overcoming the fear of peace. This healing process involves developing emotional regulation, building safe relationships, and creating new narratives that allow for hope and stability. With time and support, individuals can learn to associate peace with safety and growth rather than threat. Overcoming trauma's grip opens the door to experiencing peace not as a void, but as a rich space for transformation and renewal. Social conditioning profoundly influences how individuals perceive peace and chaos. From a young age, many people are taught that conflict is inevitable and sometimes even necessary for progress. Stories, media, and cultural narratives often glorify struggle, portraying it as a catalyst for growth and heroism. In contrast, peace is sometimes depicted as dull, passive, or stagnant. This social messaging creates an unconscious bias that makes peace feel undesirable or threatening because it doesn't fit the heroic ideal many have internalized. Furthermore, societies often reward reactive behaviors over reflective ones. In times of conflict, people who take bold, decisive action are praised, while those who advocate for calm or reconciliation may be dismissed or ignored. This dynamic reinforces the idea that chaos is where real change and meaning happen. Peace, requiring patience, dialogue, and subtlety, can be seen as weak or ineffective. As a result, individuals and groups may resist peace because it challenges the dominant social paradigm. Social conditioning also impacts how communities structure their institutions and relationships. Systems built around conflict, whether political, economic, or cultural, may struggle to adapt to peaceful conditions. Power dynamics, competition, and adversarial relationships become normalized. This normalization makes peace difficult to sustain because it disrupts established norms and interests. Individuals caught in these systems may fear peace because it threatens their social roles and the status quo. Changing this conditioning requires collective effort to reframe peace as an active, dynamic process rather than a passive state. Education, media, and leadership play crucial roles in shifting perceptions. Highlighting stories of peaceful transformation, cooperation, and resilience can help counteract the bias toward conflict. By reshaping social narratives, societies can foster a culture that values peace as essential for genuine progress and well-being. Humans have a fundamental psychological need for meaning and purpose. Chaos, with its intensity and urgency, often provides clear reasons for action, fight, survive, or resist. This sense of purpose can be deeply satisfying, even if it comes with stress and pain. When life is peaceful, the lack of immediate challenges can lead to feelings of emptiness or boredom. The brain craves stimulation, and without conflict, some may struggle to find motivation or meaning, leading to a subconscious fear of peace. The search for meaning during chaotic times is often straightforward. External threats and crises provide a narrative in which individuals play a role, and their efforts feel significant. In peaceful contexts, however, meaning must be constructed internally, which requires introspection and self-awareness. This process can be uncomfortable and unfamiliar, making peace seem less engaging. Without the external pressures of chaos, people might question their significance and the value of their actions. Furthermore, chaos can foster a sense of heroism or martyrdom. People may feel their struggles contribute to a larger cause, enhancing their identity and legacy. Peace lacks this dramatic narrative, which can make it feel mundane or meaningless in comparison. This disparity reinforces the preference for chaos, as it fulfills the psychological need for recognition and impact. Overcoming this bias involves redefining what constitutes meaningful engagement beyond conflict. Embracing peace as a fertile ground for growth and creativity is crucial to meeting the need for meaning without chaos. Peace offers opportunities for deep reflection, relationship building, and constructive change. Cultivating mindfulness, gratitude, and purposeful goals in calm times can satisfy the psychological hunger for meaning. Learning to find fulfillment in peace helps break the cycle of fear and resistance, allowing individuals and societies to thrive beyond turmoil. Cultural narratives play a powerful role in shaping how societies perceive peace and chaos. Many cultures have myths and stories that emphasize struggle, conflict, and conquest as essential parts of the human experience. These stories often depict heroes overcoming adversity through battle or sacrifice, reinforcing the idea that conflict is necessary for growth and success. Peace, by contrast, is rarely celebrated with the same intensity, leading to a collective mindset that fears stagnation and views peace with suspicion. These cultural narratives influence not only individuals but also institutions and policies. Governments, organizations, and communities may prioritize conflict-driven strategies, seeing them as more effective or legitimate. Peace initiatives can be undervalued or dismissed as naive or weak. This systemic preference for conflict perpetuates fear of peace because it challenges entrenched power structures and established ways of thinking that are deeply embedded in cultural identity. Additionally, cultural narratives often frame peace as a temporary state, an interlude between conflicts rather than a lasting goal. This framing encourages a cyclical view of history, where chaos is inevitable and peace is fragile. Such perspectives make it difficult for societies to invest in long-term peace-building efforts or to trust in the stability peace can bring. The fear of peace thus becomes self-fulfilling, as people expect conflict to return and prepare accordingly. Transforming cultural narratives to value peace requires intentional storytelling that highlights peaceful achievements, reconciliation, and cooperation. Media, education, and art can be powerful tools in reshaping collective beliefs. By elevating stories that celebrate peace as dynamic and powerful, cultures can begin to overcome the fear associated with calm and stability. This shift can foster resilience and optimism, allowing peace to be embraced as a meaningful and enduring way of life. Overcoming the fear of peace requires a conscious shift in mindset and habits. It starts with recognizing that peace is not passivity or weakness, but a dynamic and transformative state. Embracing peace means accepting uncertainty and vulnerability, while trusting in one's capacity to adapt and grow. This process often involves letting go of old identities tied to conflict and learning new ways of finding meaning and purpose in calm environments. Building a new relationship with peace also involves developing emotional resilience and self-awareness. Practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and therapy can help individuals become comfortable with stillness and internal reflection. These tools enable people to face their fears and unresolved emotions that surface in peaceful moments, transforming anxiety into acceptance. Emotional growth in this area lays the foundation for sustaining peace both personally and collectively. Community support is essential in embracing peace. Collective efforts to create safe spaces for dialogue, healing, and cooperation help reinforce peaceful norms and values. When peace is experienced as a shared journey rather than an individual burden, it becomes easier to sustain. Communities that celebrate peaceful milestones and provide role models for nonviolent conflict resolution inspire others to move beyond fear and resistance. Finally, embracing peace requires patience and persistence. The transition from chaos to calm is rarely linear or easy. Setbacks and doubts are natural parts of this journey. However, by reframing peace as an opportunity for renewal and growth, individuals and societies can gradually dissolve fear and build lasting stability. Cultivating hope, compassion, and vision allows peace to flourish as a powerful force for transformation in an uncertain world. Fear of peace is a complex and deeply human experience rooted in psychological, social, and cultural factors. While chaos can feel familiar and energizing, peace demands vulnerability, introspection, and change, qualities that many find uncomfortable. Our identities, shaped by conflict, social conditioning, trauma, and cultural narratives, often resist the calm because it threatens the status quo and challenges our sense of purpose. Yet peace is not a void or weakness. It is fertile ground for growth, healing, and transformation. By understanding the roots of our fear, developing emotional resilience, and reshaping our collective stories, we can learn to embrace peace as a dynamic and powerful state. Ultimately, choosing peace opens the door to a more meaningful, connected, and fulfilling life. One where calm is not feared, but welcomed as a vital force for lasting change.